Parents, you got questions, we have got answers. Welcome to Our Watch. I am Tim Thompson, and with me, as always, for this segment of answering your questions is Jessica Tapia. Jessica is a former teacher. I would say you're a current teacher. You're just not currently employed because you made a great stand for parents here in the state of California.
Yeah, thank you. It was not easy. It definitely took sacrificing my own job and losing my teaching job, which I knew God called me to teach. But something really interesting someone pointed out to me the other day is you still are teaching, just in a different format and to different people. And
Right.
I was like, wow, that gave me a lot of peace and encouragement. So blessed to be here answering questions.
Yeah. Well, one of the questions that came in, and you are a perfect person to answer this question because it came in from a teacher. And the teacher asked this. The teacher said, I would love to get out of the union. Can you send me any information on the process or point me in the right direction?
Yes. So first and foremost, I think it's super important that all teachers know they don't have to be a part of the union of CTA. So I'll speak specifically to the California Teachers Association, which is the National Education Association, NEA. I point everyone to For Kids and Country. So it's a nonprofit by Rebecca Fredericks, and she, with several other plaintiffs, went and fought this and it went to Supreme Court, and it ruled in their favor, stating that public employees do not have to pay into a union like that. They don't have to be forced to pay those dues. They can make a choice in who they want to be a part of, associated with, and protecting them. So on For Kids and Country, I think it's .com. We'll put the exact link in the down below, but there's an opt-out of the union button, and you click that, and it's like 5 steps, very cut and clear. They give you the actual document that you will submit, and it's nice and simple.
Now, I understand that because I've talked to some teachers who have done that,
Mm-hmm.
and they seem to be bullied by the unions into thinking they can't do this. So they need to just not give into that bullying and just stand strong, right?
Yes, I did that. I gave into the bullying. I've only shared this with a few people, but I was about 2 years into my teaching career, and I started to see, why am I paying the CTA my money when they take it and support things that I'm not in line with, things that are against my values? It was starting to not make sense to me. And so I mentioned to a coworker that I wanted to get out of the union. And it was like, even from my coworkers, they were like, oh, you don't do that. Like, no one does that. Everyone's going to know you left. Everyone's going to look down upon you. And I was able to move past that. I still made the call and tried to proceed, but then I was bullied by the CTA, and essentially they used scare tactics against me that I would not be protected and that it was just not the best choice. And as a new teacher, I was still a very new teacher at that point. I caved and stayed with them. But you know what? Many people know my story, and I will say, looking back now, as I walked through my trial with refusing those transgender policies, I had 2 CTA union reps sitting next to me in 3 meetings with my district. And now I can actually speak to and let everyone know what they did for me, which was nothing. They looked at me, and this is the most they did. They said, we know a lot of Christian teachers that make this work. Compartmentalize your beliefs for the 8 hours of the day to keep your job. And I was like, so that's how you represent and defend people of faith? And so I'm glad I got that experience. Obviously, I was not defended by the CTA, but I'm glad I got that experience because I have a real life, situation I walk through with them next to me that I can share now.
Right.
So
we got some other questions.
Yeah. Yes. Next question. I have a great question for you, Pastor Tim. So I had this as a message sent to me from a parent, and she said, I'm trying to figure out who I can speak to regarding my son's high school health class, not allowing him to opt out of their LGBTQ curriculum. I went to back to school night and spoke to his teacher. The teacher stated that it's state law and my son can't opt out because it's discrimination. Any guidance would be greatly appreciated.
All right, so this is one of those rare occasions I'm going to say the teacher was absolutely correct in saying you can't opt out. here's the way it works. So AB 329 passed. This was several years ago. When AB 329 passed, it fundamentally changed sex ed as we know it. When I was a kid, sex ed was birds and bees, biology, sperm meets egg, things like that. The normal biology of sexual intercourse, if you will. What it did was it changed it to not just be about the biology of sex, but now the experience of sex. So it broadens that into all sorts of different categories. It opens the door for adults within the school system to talk to kids about things that really, I don't think adults that aren't the child's parent should be talking about, or the guardian of the child. It's really a bad thing that happened in the state of California. Now, the law, AB 329, as it was written, what it does is it requires that these things be taught, the LGBTQ portions of the curriculum, and that you cannot opt out of just those portions. So it doesn't say you can't opt out of the sex ed entirely. It just says you can't opt out of just the LGBTQ stuff. So the parent has the option to opt out. They should exercise that right and opt their child out. Now, here's the caveat, though, and they have to understand this, is the law does not allow a parent to opt out if these things are taught outside the context of health class, sex ed stuff. So, for instance, they're putting these types of topics in math, language arts, social study, even special assemblies that are happening at the schools. These things are everywhere at this point, and a parent does not have the right to opt their children out of these things. This is why, it's so important to understand what's going on, what's actually being taught. And my greatest recommendation, number one, is they should just opt their kids out. But my greatest recommendation, if at all possible, is pull your child from the public school. Homeschool your child, because you know exactly what's being taught to your kid if you're the one teaching your kid. So that's the best thing. But definitely know the law. They do not have a right to opt out of just the LGBTQ stuff.
So just that topic.
Right. We do have another question here. This one came in asking, where can I find more information on parental rights in schools? I would like to verify that my city school board is in support of parental rights. We know this is a big issue that just came out with Bill Asaley's bill that he's been very successful in getting this implemented as a policy within schools. What do you say about how they can find out if their city's school is on the side of parental rights?
At this point, to be quite frank, it's simple looking at the state of California for the most part. So we're still probably at like 99% of school districts here in this state are not for your parental rights. The school districts are following the guidance from the state, which is to withhold information about your child's gender identity from you as the parent in the case that you might not yet know about it. And this is one of the very policies I was fired based upon, because I just simply said I wouldn't lie to parents. And so, yes, as you stated, Bill Asaley then created a bill, AB 1314. And I'm not sure if many people know this, but that bill was actually created because there was a mom who actually had a daughter whose school was socially transitioning her for 3 months before the mom found out. So when she found out, she had righteous anger, as we can all imagine. And Bill Asaley was the only one who was willing to take this on and create AB 1314 from this mother's story. When he finished up that bill, he found my story. And so the timing was just amazing. And we came together and we did a press conference actually in front of the high school I was fired from, announced that bill. Yes, unfortunately, it was never heard and it died. But I think it is amazing that now we're seeing it as the parental notification policy that we've now seen 4 districts in the state of California vote in and adopt, and I think there's going to be many more to come. So basically, unless your school district is one of those 4, which would be Chino Valley, Temecula Valley, Murrieta Valley, and then there's one in Northern California, Shasta. If it's not one of those 4, then at this point, your district does not have that parental notification policy voted in. And so I think the next big question we're getting and that people would be wondering is, how do I get it voted in then? And so what I've been advising people is to reach out, email their school board members, but have all your friends and family do that. Everyone in the community who stands for parental rights need to kind of bombard the school board members, have them put it on the agenda, begin discussing it, and it'll, get to the point where they will need to vote on it. So it's just using our voice.
Right. We need to desperately. We got time for one more question.
Okay, yes, last one. So I got this question. Is there some sort of organized movement for parental rights? I want in. I'm sick and tired of seeing our children hurt. Enough is enough. We have to take a stand to protect our children.
There is an organized movement right here in the state of California. So if our audience is listening right now is a citizen of the state of California, I would recommend that they get involved in the Inland Empire Family PAC. They can go to IE Family PAC, that's PAC, iefamilypac.org. That is the organization that raised funds and got people elected in Temecula, in Murrieta, 2 of the 4 districts you've just got done speaking about, that put together this parental rights policy. So that's the best way to get involved, is make sure we get the right people on the school boards, because if you have a good school board, they're going to put in parental rights policies. Most of the school boards in the state of California are not supporting parental rights. So this last election cycle, Inland Empire Family PAC organized and got 5 different people elected in just 3 small cities. So this next go around, they have branched out. They're doing way more than that. And I think that's a great way for people to get involved. If you are not in the state of California, then I would say reach out to Our Watch. You can go to info@ourwatch.com. We'll get you connected to somebody that'll show you how you can do that same thing. Whatever the Inland Empire Family PAC is doing here in California, you can do it in Nebraska. You can do it in Vermont. You can do it in places all over our nation. And it is so imperative that we get involved from state to state, putting the right people on school boards. We can do nothing greater for parental rights than to begin at the local school boards.
Absolutely.
So that's a great question. I really hope a lot of people do it. One more time, info@ourwatch.com if people want it, if they're outside the state. If you are inside the state of California, iefamilypac.org. Well, that is all the time we have for questions today. Jessica, thank you for joining me.
Yeah, thank you. I get tons of them, so we'll be back.
If you have a question for us, send it into info@ourwatch.com, or you can get with Jessica on social media. You can get with me on social media. Get your questions to us. We want to answer them. We want to empower you to be effective right here in your local area. So God bless you. We'll see you next time right here on Our Watch with Tim Thompson.